بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. Continuing with the Al-Ittiba' in this study of the book Salah al-Ummah fi Ulu al-Himma. And one of the great status of the Ittiba', as the Prophet ﷺ described them, قال الغرباء, to be gharib, it's like a stranger. قال هم النزاع من القبائل, those who come out, subhanallah, the cream, or those who stand out from all these families or tribes and so on. أحادا منهم, there will be like few of them. And the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, الإسلام بدأ غريبا ويعود غريبا كما بدأ. Islam started to be stranger, not known, and it will come back as it was. So here قال كيف لا يكون المؤمن سائر الله على طريق المتابعة غريبا بين هؤلاء, because everyone, subhanallah, as you see it here, their dreams is all dictated by the society they live in. And all the dreams are defined by the worldly gain. Satisfaction, happiness, joy is all related to that. And then the believer, when always they target the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they feel themselves stranger. But this status of being stranger is something that it is blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, we have many of the youth, they struggle to fit in. Actually, fitting in is going against of being a stranger. When a stranger is in being stranger, is the blessing of Allah, is the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So not literally to intend to be someone odd. Stranger is not an odd person, is not an awkward person, is not someone, no. Stranger, someone who is pious, humble, righteous, but a person who does not think like the other, because the other think like fully in the way of the crookedness. They dream, their high dreams is always contained in this dunya. Because these people, they do not recognize any world beyond the world that we live in. So, of course, that the believer is a stranger, the true believer. Hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, قال مروا بالمعروف وانهوا عن المنكر, enjoy good and forbid evil. حتى إذا رأيتم شحا مطاعا وهوى متبعا. So, even the fact to be enjoining good and forbidding evil, as we have explained it many times, is part of the behavior and the character of the believer. It's innate in the believer. The believers, when they see something odd, something bad, evil, it is like nature, their nature to stop it, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gifted them with the aspect to beautify their heart and beautify and endear the iman to their heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make, dear to their heart the love of the goodness, the love of the khayrat, the musara in the khayrat. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make them to dislike and hate wickedness, disbelief, shirk, obscenity. So the reaction of a person depends on their belief, and their belief will define their emotion, right? If you see something nice, you say, yeah, it's nice. If someone treats you nice, you appreciate them. So therefore, that's, the common thing. But when it comes something that is personal to you, when you see something wrong that violates the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it hurts you deeply and you want to change it. So the Prophet ﷺ telling us at what point, at what extent living in a society, especially for us living in this time, to continue enjoying good and forbid evil. And most of the time today, people, they do it with their heart. Yeah? Because they deny it with their heart. You cannot come to someone and say, you're doing wrong, or you're taking drugs, you think this is haram. You will not even understand what the meaning of the haram. But deny it with the heart is to keep your iman alive in your heart. However, there is a level. So here in the Prophet ﷺ, in this hadith, there's many of narration of the wording of the hadith. One of them is what the author is introducing here. قال continue to enjoy good and forbid evil till you see shuhan muta'an, a greed that is obeyed. So subhanallah, a greed obeyed means that not only someone is greedy, but that greed becomes like a way of life. It becomes like something that direct and conduct and kind of guide the person in their life. So the greed become them, they hate to spend, they hate to give sadaqah, greed. Then they act upon their greed, so they make, for example, the policy of the market based on their greed. They make the way of their thinking, the way of their dealing, the way of transaction, it becomes the greed. So shuhan mutan. So the guidance becomes eat the greed, wal'iyadu billah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, قَالَ وَمَن يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. To shield yourself from the covetousness and the greed of yourself, that's the one who can be successful. But when become the greed is the guide of a person, wal'iyadu billah. So the whole world will become, subhanAllah, upside down. قَالَ وَهَوًا مُتَّبَعًا. Al-hawa is the whims. Al-hawa is one's opinion. Al-hawa is to follow other than the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger. وَهَوًا مُتَّبَعًا وَدُنْيَا مُؤْثَرًا. And what one in their list of precedence, the highest priority is the worldly life, is the worldly gain. So they prefer the gain of the dunya to anything else, to the deen, to the salah, to the thing. وَإِعْجَابُ كُلُّ ذِي رَأْيٍ بِرَأْيٍ. This is the chaos. Everyone, subhanAllah, is so, let's say, rejoicing their own opinion. And this is actually reflect arrogance. That's what it means. Everyone thinks that their opinion must prevail, their opinion is the best of the opinion, their opinion must be heard. And you see it today. I mean, in the social media, everyone wants to be influencer, the other one wants to be like, So all of that, subhanAllah, is a type or like description of what we're seeing today. وَإِعْجَابُ كُلُّ ذِي رَأْيٍ بِرَأْيٍ. قال وَرَأَيْتَ أَمْرًا لَا بُدَّ لَكَ بِهِ فَعَلَيْكَ بِخَاصَّةِ نَفْسِكَ. In this case, you have to take care of yourself. When this whole chaos happening in the society, you have to take care of yourself. وَإِيَّاكَ وَعَوَامُهُمْ فَإِنَّ وَرَاءَكُمْ أَيَّامًا صَبْرَ الصَّابِرِينَ فِيهِنَّ كَالْقَابِضِ عَلَى الْجَمْرِ. And be careful by, al-awam, which is the lay people, the common people, those, subhanAllah, who are fully drowned into this, chaos of akhlaq, absence of values, of virtues, of akhlaq, as you see it today. So, and the Prophet ﷺ said, and then it's going to come days that the person, who's going to be patient, perseverant, is like holding on a core of fire. Can you imagine you taking some, core of fire and you hold it in your hand, how you're going to hold? This is how you're going to be holding on your deen. قال, for this reason, in the hadith of Abi Dawood, قال, for the truthful believer, the one who hold fast to their deen, they will have the reward of 50 companions رضوان الله تعالى عليه. For this reason. قال من حديث أبي ثعلب الخشني قال سألت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن هذه الآية يا أيها الذين آمنوا عليكم أنفسكم لا يضركم من ضل إذا اهتديتم. So this is the hadith of the 50 Sahabi reward that is known. And it started with this question that Abu Tha'laba al-Khushani asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It is an ayah in Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayah 105. O you who believe, alaykum anfusakum. Be mindful of yourself. Alaykum anfusakum, take care of yourself. La yadurrukum man dhalla idha ihtadaytum. The one will be able to harm you, to hurt you, as long as you are on the path of the guidance. This is, it inspires if you just take care of yourself. If you take care of yourself, nobody will hurt you, nobody will cause you to go astray. Which is inspired might be to be passive in the way of the da'wah. Passive to not enjoy good and forbid evil. When someone seeing some evil, he said, yeah, Allah told me take care of yourself. I don't care about the other people. This is what some of the companions, they, understood it, or they had the inspiration, or let's say the interpretation to be so. So that's why Abu Tha'laba al-Khushani asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And there's a hadith with Abi Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu and Ibn Mas'ud in the same interpretation of this ayah. فقال النبي بل ائتمروا بالمعروف وتناهوا عن المنكر. No, you should continue enjoining good and forbid evil. So this ayah, as Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, this is not for you. This is going to come for the believers in the end of time. And the end of time, it does not have a time, really. I mean, for us, we don't know. However, the end of time is characterized by the loss of the balance. There's no balance in it. When I say the balance, it happened with the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The balance in all the aspect of life that being, and only this balance can be let's say maintained or achieved by the way of the guidance of Allah. So the more the society is far from Allah, today it is a godless society, so it is chaos. And that's the situation that the Prophet ﷺ is talking about. Because in this situation, we don't know when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send these punishments. You don't know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will delay it, will hasten it. Only Allah knows. So it's not like the end of time, let's say, this is going to happen now, the day of judgment. No. It's enough to see the signs, because the guidance of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam here, it's not about about when it's going to end the time. It's about you as a believer, how you continue to be a believer, someone who will still continue to correct despite any situation that you will be in. So the Prophet ﷺ gives you the guidance how to be a true, truthful believer, holding fast to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any situation possible. فقال بل ائتمروا بالمعروف وتناهوا عن المنكر حتى إذا رأيت شحا مطاعا وهوى متبعا والدنيا مؤثرة وإعجاب كل ذي رأي برأيه فعليك بخاصة نفسك ودع عنك العوام. So this is another wording of the hadith that we have mentioned. So just take care of yourself and desert or retreat or seclude yourself from be away from the common people, from the people. قال فإن من وراءكم أيام الصبر فيهن للعامل فيهن. This is in Abi Dawud. للعامل, for the one who work, who act seriously. قال للعامل فيهن 50 رجلا يعملون مثل عمله. The one who acts seriously, holding fast to the way of the deen, he will have the reward of 50 of the believer doing the same action that they do. قلت يا رسول الله, أبو ثعلبة قال أجر 50 منهم, the reward of 50 of one of them, of 50 of them from among them. قال أجر 50 منكم, 50 from you, companion, رضوان الله تعالى عليه. وهذا الأجر العظيم إنما هو لغربته بين الناس. Because subhanAllah, there is ghurba, there is someone feels, he's a stranger among the people. This is one of the aspects that the believer had to tie on their heart as a way of ittiba, because you're going to come to the importance of the ittiba. We already talked about it. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ذاق طعم الإيمان من رضي بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم رسولا. Who will be able to taste the taste of the sweetness of Iman, the true Iman. The one قال رضي, be pleased, contented, believe fully, completely submitted. Billahi Rabba, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being his God subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa bil Islami dina, and with the Islam to be their deen. And Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to be their Rasul. The hadith looks very simple, but it is the most difficult implementation ever when you think about it. رضي بالله ربا start with all the calamity that befall on a person to embrace them and be accepting them. That's part of رضي بالله ربا. رضي بالإسلام دينا, every hukum of the Sharia, should someone will surrender to it and he says I hear and obey. ورضي بمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم رسوله, that he will follow his footsteps fully, completely, and not to innovate and not get on his opinion to follow or anything. For this reason, Ibn al-Qayyim رحمه الله تعالى يقول وهذه سهلة بالدعوة واللسان. This is easy when someone claim it and say, just say it. وهي من أصعب الأمور عند الحقيقة والامتحان. And it is one of the difficult matter in reality, and when it comes to the time of the tribulation and the exams, or at the time of test. والرضا بنبيه رسوله. So what the meaning, what does it mean to be pleasing that the Prophet ﷺ is his messenger or her messenger? يتضمن, it implies and include كمال الانقياد, the complete following, the complete submission to his guidance صلى الله عليه وسلم, والتسليم المطلق إليه, and the absolute taslim. So when you say absolute taslim, is unrestricted and conditional taslim, surrendering to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, بحيث يكون أولى به من نفسه فلا يتلقى الهدى إلا من مواقع كلماته. And this is one of the aspects of the meaning to love the Prophet ﷺ more than you love yourself. So you hear to the Prophet before you hear to yourself. Because if you truly love the Prophet more than you love yourself, so why do you follow your whims? Why do you follow what your nafs is dictating on you? بحيث يكون أولى به من فلا يتلقى الهدى إلا من مواقع كلماته ولا يحاكم. And if there is a judgment, or there is any issue, that he go and judge, to his guidance صلى الله عليه وسلم. ولا يرضى بحكم غيره البتة, and he will not be pleased at all in any way with the judgment of anyone else. So this is one of the aspects, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال فلا وربك لا يؤمنون حتى يحكموك فيما شجر بينهم ثم لا يجدوا في أنفسهم حرجا مما قضيت ويسلموا تسليما. By your Lord, they will not be true believers till they have you to judge between them. قال, and then they submit and surrender to your judgment. But the true istislam, the true Islam, the true really acceptance is that you don't find any resistance into your heart or into your chest after you heard the judgment. It's not like you say, no, this is not true, this is not right. No, you accept and you surrender to the judgment. But afterward, that judgment need to be, subhanallah, pleasing you inside. Accept it. Not like someone is fighting this judgment, or like find tightness in their heart toward the judgment. قال ثم لا يجد في أنفسهم حرجا مما قضيت ويسلموا تسليما. Also, from these ahadith to help us see who are the true follower of the Prophet ﷺ, who fulfilled the ittiba. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم in another hadith لا تزال طائفة من أمتي ظاهرين على الحق حتى تقوم الساعة. There will be a group from my ummah, ظاهرين على الحق is like, standing for the truth, acting upon the truth. حتى تقوم الساعة, till the hour will come. There's those who be striving, fighting for the sake of Allah, and the Prophet ﷺ defined even their place على أكناف بيت المقدس, and inshallah there are our people in Gaza. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن ينصرهم نصرا مؤزرا ويفرغ عليهم صبرا وينصرهم على الظالمين المعتدين. قال لا تزال طائفة من أمتي ظاهرين حتى يأتيهم أمر الله وهم ظاهرون. وهم ظاهرون. So this is another aspect. So the first aspect is to be gharib. The second aspect is to be zahir al-haq, which is mean a person who following the truth, standing for the truth, fighting for the truth, and will not incline to anything other than the truth, or to accept anything other than the truth of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because of the dhuhur, is the dhuhur to be something that apparent and let's say manifesting itself with its action and one's action. And this action of a person are, let's say, it's a ground, is all the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ with the dalil, So this is dhahirun al-haq. Dhahirun al-haq. So when people, they dispute them, they said, no, we are on the path of the truth. We will not change. And if people, they will force them, they will fight them. And this is the standing of the truth. So this is one aspect. The other aspect, to be a gharib. To be a gharib. And the gharib, we explained it. قال الدعوة إلى الاتباع. When we're talking about the da'wah ila al-ittiba', so this is calling to follow. These are the characteristics of those who follow. Type. What it means to follow the Prophet ﷺ is the following of the book and the sunnah, and to have it as منهج للحياة ومنهج للفكر ومنهج للتصور. Three aspects. And this is very important because many of us, they don't really perceive that some, process of thinking, it's not in the way of the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It became very secular. Why? Because, living long years or growing in this society, which is a secular society, changed the way of people to think. To follow the Prophet ﷺ and to make the full ittiba' is to the teaching of the Quran and the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ. This need to be as a way of life, as a path or way of thinking, and manhajun lit-tasawwur, the tasawwur of perceiving, of idrak. So everything, when you look at it, you have an idea about it. How do you perceive it? From which angle you perceive it? If this angle from which you perceive it contain the akhirah, contain seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in everything. You go to an interview and you made istikhara and you want to get the job. From which perspective you're looking at this job? You see? So this is including the ittiba'. Getting a job for dreams. What is your dream? Your dream is to make a lot of money and to do this and this and this. So this is not, you are in the path of the ittiba'. Because where you're thinking is directing toward the gain of the worldly life, not of pleasing Allah and being someone who say, I hear and obey. Both you can make the same salary. You can make, higher salary than the other person. But what is your intention? What is your perspective? What is your perception? What is your way of life? So you see, the ittiba' must include all these aspects. Must include all these aspects. And this comes back to always reminding you, قال أوثق عرى الإيمان أن يحب في الله وأن يبغض في الله. The strongest rope of the iman is to love in the sake of Allah and to dislike in the sake of Allah. Therefore, one's perception and one's emotion is subject or based or ruled or governed by the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By the way of Allah. So everything you love in this dunya and everything you dislike is based on your path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We finish with this ayah. قال يا أيها الذين آمنوا استجيبوا لله وللرسول إذا دعاكم لما يحييكم. Or you who believe, answer the call of Allah and His Messenger when they call you to what gives you life. So if you want life of your heart, life of your being, life into, subhanAllah, having a light in your mind and correct your perception, to be in the way of the guidance of the divine guidance, then listen and answer the call of Allah and His Messenger. وَعَلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَحُولُ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَقَلْبِهِ, and know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes between a person and their heart, because Allah turned them aside the way He will. Subhanallah. If you will guidance, Allah put your heart on guidance. If you will other things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will turn it. اللهم يا مثبت القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم يا مصرف القلوب صرف قلوبنا على دينك. جزاكم الله خير واستغفر بإذن الله تعالى. بارك الله فيكم.